What's going on, everyone? So, Sidney Prescott and her family, particularly her kids, are supposed to be a real focal point in this upcoming Scream movie. Now, we don't know all the details about her family and her children. We only know what she said and what we have to go off of from Scream 5. I mean, we didn't even know she had a family and was married to Mark Kincaid and all this stuff till Scream 5. But, like, if you look it up, it says that she has 3 children, but there was never any confirmation that that's the case. She just said her daughters and that she has kids. She didn't specify, oh, I need to get this kid and my other two, ready for school or something like that, right? She just said the girls, speaking plural, which means she has more than one, which kind of you through process of elimination and educated guessing, you could say, okay, she probably has around 3 kids, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the case. And we definitely don't know how old all her kids are, right? We know and see the little kid in the stroller, but we never actually get a good look at that kid, right? That kid could be 3, 4, right? So by the time this upcoming Scream movie comes out, maybe the kid's 7, right? Maybe her oldest is like 15, 16, right? Like, there's a lot of directions in which they could go and kind of a lot of wiggle room that they have as far as like the children go with Sidney Prescott, kind of their age. Which brings me to kind of what I want to discuss in this video. And of course, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions. So let me know down in the comments below. What are your thoughts as always? But what I want to get into is, you have Sidney, you have her children, right? You're going to head in this direction of like, here's kids, here's the family dynamic, here's Sidney Prescott, and if it's successful, then it's very likely they're going to continue that trend. It's very likely that they're going to continue down the road of Sidney Prescott. They've already kind of hinted at, like, if this is successful, we want to kind of tell more story with Sidney. This film is also supposed to introduce new characters and have new kind of insight to a new group of kids or teens or whatever, or however they end up going. But this movie's supposed to be kind of one of those like split down the middle things, where you have like Sidney for a good chunk of the movie and her family, but then you also have this new group that is being introduced that could end up taking over the mantle. But at some point, you're gonna have to move off of Sidney Prescott. And to me, it's like, do you use one of the new characters as your foundation piece to continue to move forward, or do you make it Sidney's kid? Because again, you could have Sidney's kid be 14 in this film or 15 in this film. Maybe she's just starting high school and you're exploring the dynamics and the struggles of being Sidney Prescott's daughter. And maybe she's bullied and picked on, and and it's just like this misery of like, I'm stuck, being the daughter of the angel of death or whatever, right? And you could tell this interesting dynamic and this interesting story around Sidney's, oldest daughter, right? And then, you could essentially create a trilogy where you're setting and establishing her daughter with Sidney and Mark and everything like that. And then she's kind of going off to her own, right? Maybe she's 16 in this film, right? And Ghostface shows up and it's all this chaos and she has to try to fight to survive. And then you get to the next Scream film and maybe she's going away to college and Sidney has to deal with, the struggles and concerns of like, my daughter's leaving the house. I can't protect her. I can't keep an eye on her. And kind of just go in a new direction of struggles and family dynamic and just the concerns that everyone has, period, with their children. But you're adding into the fact that Sidney Prescott and the history with Ghostface, and Ghostface keeps coming back, and now her daughter's vulnerable because she's not there to save her and protect her, right? Like, you could even do some cool stuff where, maybe in this film you allude to Sidney's daughter maybe being in on it. And maybe she's the one that wants Sidney dead. And, and then eventually find out that, no, that's not the case. No, it's not. It's kind of just a red herring moment. Like, that could be fun. And he kind of play into that a little bit, which ties into, like the Jill and the family dynamic. And, it kind of clues in on many different things. But also, I think you could really set up, like, you could position yourself in a great way to kind of create several more films, right? Now, I do think that there is an argument to be made to just like get off of Sidney and the Sidney story, period. But I do think you could tell a new Sidney story. Like, so for example, Scream 5, right? Scream 5 had the bloodlines and, it became Billy's daughter and all that stuff. And I wasn't a big fan of that. I felt like you handcuffed yourself to the past. But you did it in a not the best manner. Where I do think if it's a descendant thing, and it is Sidney who is alive, who is well, who is kind of the catalyst for the film, I think you inherently make things easier on the bloodline dynamic, right? And it gives you opportunity to plug in Neve Campbell and Sidney Prescott whenever you want, whenever you feel like it, right? Where I felt with Scream 5 and 6 with Sam, you had her as it's Billy's bloodline, Billy's daughter, but Billy's dead. Like, Billy's gone. Billy was Ghostface. He wasn't the target, right? Like, where Sidney is always the target. Sidney's always the victim. And so her family is always going to be in danger. Her family's always going to be the one that's targeted, right? And it's like, so to me, it was like, how many different stories can you have with Sam, right? It's kind of one of the reasons why they had to go with like we want to remake the movies route, where now I think you have an opportunity to kind of piggyback off of Sidney transition into her daughter. Now, again, I don't think that this is something that absolutely should happen or need to happen, but I do think it could be, it's easier inherently, right? And if you get the proper actress that can come in and kind of take over the mantle for Sidney, you kind of keep all the Sidney stands tied into the franchise, right? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, the general consensus, the general audience, and many of us don't really care. We just want a good Scream movie. We just want good characters, however you approach it, however you go about it. But I think you can find this almost middle ground, right? Obviously, storytelling, execution, delivery, all is important, all matters. And you have to develop her daughter well enough to where it's like, just because it's Sidney's daughter doesn't mean it's a good character, and doesn't mean it's a good actress, and doesn't mean, it's somebody that you continue the franchise with. But if the idea is to kind of tell this new story with the family dynamic and kind of keep Sidney in the loop, her daughter makes the easiest approach. Because it's like, how many people want Sidney? How many people are coming out of the woodwork to kill Sidney? How many, and I mean, you could get to that point with her daughter, but you kind of have this new age, this new wave where, people are trying to maybe even get to Sidney through her daughter, or, kind of you got all these crazies that want her daughter to be the new Sidney. And, maybe the media and all you could explore with Sidney's daughter, you can explore different things that we've never been able to explore in the Scream, right? Like, what are her struggles being Sidney's daughter? After a Ghostface attack, let's say the next film, right? Like I said, maybe she's going away to college. Maybe she's being hounded by media and reporters and TV deals and all this stuff. And, they're trying to make films about her, and she's got to just go through the struggles where it's like, dude, I'm just trying to be a normal kid, and my life is being destroyed because I'm Sidney's daughter, right? Like, and because, everybody, now that I've been attacked by Ghostface, everyone wants to paint me as the new Sidney Prescott, right? Like, there's so many different things that I think you could do creatively that you can't really necessarily do with a new cast. But I also don't hate the idea of just going an entirely new direction, telling an entirely new story, and having entirely new characters, right? Like, I just think you could do a little more fun things, and you always have that option, right? The beauty of Scream is you can always go a new route with a new cast, with new characters, new Ghostface. Right? You always have that escape plan if need be. So to me, it's kind of like, okay, let's kind of continue the Sidney story, but with her daughter. You can have random Sidney cameos here and there. It also would keep, like I said, the Sidney stands excited because it's like, oh, is this film Sidney going to be in it or not? Right? Is she going to have a cameo? Whatever. Right? Like, you could also plug in Neve as long as she wants to do it, and then, you have her daughter kind of going through these various struggles that no one else would really go through. Like, one of the fun aspects that I actually liked with Scream 6 was Sam's character having to deal with all of the social media and gossip and, oh, maybe she really did it and stuff, right? She goes and gets attacked and whatnot. Not by ghosts. Talk about, like the people in the park or whatever that throw the drink on her, right? I thought that was a fun, interesting dynamic that you could explore even further, kind of get on even more, in a way that I just think would be so much easier if you had Sidney's daughter. Because now she is dealing with social media and the internet and the world and, people looking at her as a killer and a victim and celebrity and, Sidney's daughter. And, like, I just think you can really explore and expand on that, is my point. But anyway, like I said, I can talk about this for hours. So I'll cut it short and, pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you like the idea of, like, yeah, let's go down Sidney's daughter route? Do you think, no, stay away from that route? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.